Now, if you're a fan of aquatic fragrances, you're in for a real treat today. There's something really special here. This is a new brand, Nomad Profumo, and the fragrance is called Scent Memory Miami. I'm excited to give you my thoughts on this brand new fragrance, so make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin today's episode and I tell you all about this brand new fragrance by Nomad Profumo, and it's called Scent Memory Miami, what I get in terms of the smell, the notes, the performance, the longevity, comparison, so on and so forth, I do want to start things off by mentioning that if you are a fan of fragrance-related content, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it. Hit that bell icon so you can be notified whenever I do upload future videos to the channel. And of course, give this video a thumbs up if you learned something today, or simply if you took something of value from today's episode. Now, this is a sister company to the Dua brand or Dua fragrances. So the CEO, Massam Raza, he came up with Nomad Profumo, which is basically an expression of fragrances. There's only one at the moment, but I'm sure there's going to be more in the future. And it's basically fragrances inspired by his travels. So I'm guessing he took a trip to Miami at some point and he fell in love with the ethos of the people and the culture and the landscape and the aromas, through the air. And this is basically a mojito accord fragrance. So there's this sugary vibe in the base, there's mint, there's a bunch of citrus, grapefruit, tangerine. And also from what I read, there's actually 100% natural ambergris that is ethically sourced, of course. And that makes this an aquatic, minty, boozy, citrusy, fresh, slightly salty, and oceanic fragrance. And of course, I've been to Miami on a number of occasions as well. I actually have family that lives in West Palm Beach, Florida. So occasionally we do take a trip down to Miami. We'll spend the day there. And of course, the beaches are incredible. In any case, I'm excited to give you my thoughts on this fragrance, what I get from the smell and all that good stuff. Let's start things off with the presentation. Now, in the opening of this fragrance, I do get mint. And mint is one of those ingredients where, because of its ability to really open up your nasal passages, whenever a fragrance does contain mint, it's typically the first ingredient that I smell. Of course, some of the more volatile ingredients in here are the citrus, for example, that Floridian grapefruit that's in here, the tangerine, maybe a little bit of bergamot as well, but there is a lot of citrus in here. And the citrus accompanies the mint in a very flavorful, in a very energizing way. So I do get that mint and citrus combination, and right off the bat, I'm like, this is a summer fragrance through and through. These are the types of fragrances that I love to wear in the summertime. Something that is very bright, effervescent, something that leaves you feeling very well groomed, very clean, very energized, and it definitely has that effect. Now, as you give it a chance to dry down, you do get like this sugary component that starts to come to the front. And of course, sugar is an ingredient in mojito, right? You have the muddled mint, you have the club soda, which I guess a little bit of that effervescence is conveyed through the citrus. And so I would imagine, you're walking down the boardwalk in Miami, or you're walking down the street in Miami, you might have like a Cuban restaurant or something. They're serving mojitos and you get a little bit of that aroma, especially if you're sitting at an adjacent table or something like that. And so a lot of that is captured so nicely in this fragrance, the mint, the sugar, the citrus, and now the ambergris that is found in the base. And so this does use 100% natural ambergris that is ethically sourced. And of course, I'm always a big proponent of things being sustainably sourced, ethically sourced. And so I'm glad to hear that. And of course, there are some other brands like Creed, for example, that do claim to use 100% natural ambergris in their fragrances. And what I can say in terms of the way that it smells is it's salty, it's a little oceanic, and it kind of like adds to that enigmatic quality of the blend. And so I feel like the citrus in and of itself could come across as very plain, and that's not what you're getting in here. So in the dry down, when you do have that combination of the salt and the fresh and the oceanic and the ozonic, I think it adds a certain element to the fragrance that is very enticing, and I think that that's done very, very well in this fragrance. A Scent Memory Miami is an awesome fragrance, and I'm just thankful that I've had the opportunity to visit Miami on a number of occasions. I personally love visiting Florida. I love the weather, as humid as it could get sometimes, but this is an awesome fragrance released just in time for the summer months, and this is something that a lot of brands need to learn how to do. They often release fragrances out of season, but this is perfectly timed. I'm super stoked that I have this because now I am going to be wearing it a lot. I might even make it my scent of the day today. Let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. Now, first up, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, in terms of like a mojito fragrance, I tried comparing it to other fragrances in my collection. Acqua Decima by Eau d'Italie. There's even Saint Julep by Imaginary Authors, which is more of like a mint julep inspired fragrance. But despite the fact that I was comparing it to all of these fragrances, 1861 Renaissance by Xerjoff, it doesn't smell like any of them. And so I love the fact that they're able to utilize familiar ingredients but still create an unfamiliar blend, and one that actually smells very pleasant, very easygoing, very easy to wear, very mass appealing too. Longevity is in the vein of 7 hours. The projection was great for the first hour to hour and a half. It did radiate a little bit beyond an arm's length, and it didn't start to sit closer to the skin until that 5-hour mark. In terms of the versatility, perfectly unisex, great for the summer months. Of course, if you want to wear it in the spring, you can pull it off too, and if you have a warm autumn evening, yeah, you can pull it off there as well. It leans a little bit more casual than formal, and I think anybody of any age could enjoy this one equally. And in terms of the presentation, I love the presentation. The wooden cap, the N insignia at the top here, just the color and the design. I mean, the color of the liquid itself is like this teal aquamarine sort of a color. But then on the bottom here, you have the landscape of Miami, which I think looks really, really cool. And that leaves me feeling very excited to see what other installations within this collection are going to look like in terms of the presentation, but very nicely done. My final verdict on this fragrance is, if you like mojito type fragrances, you like Torino 21 by Xerjoff, you like Acqua Decima by Eau d'Italie, but you're looking for something new, you're looking for something different, something that is long lasting, very strongly concentrated, has a little bit of sweetness, natural ambergris, but enough of that mint that really pops in the fragrance, you gotta check this one out by Nomad Profumo, A Scent Memory Miami. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed today's review. If you did, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it. Hit that bell icon so you could be notified whenever I do upload these daily fragrance videos. And of course, give this video a thumbs up if you learned something today, or if I was able to introduce you to a fragrance that you've never tried before. Thank you so much for joining me. Love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.